still on the literacy tab. Scroll to the bottom of this block of data so we can see the question that we're going to answer. I want to know how many of these students are marked as critical. And if I look at the data, the students are actually marked as 4-critical. I also want to know how many students are marked as at risk. And again, if I look up at the data, I can see that they're actually marked as 3-at risk. If you look at our cheat sheet, you can see that we're going to be using Countif. Countif counts cells if they meet a criterion that you set. Because this is sort of a larger data set, I'm going to split my screen so I can select the top and the bottom cell references really easily. If you aren't familiar with splitting the screen, watch the video on the previous page of this course. I'm just going to click somewhere in around the 10th row, view, freeze, up to current row. Now in this bottom section, I'm going to scroll back down to the bottom. Now I can see the top cell and the bottom cell of my reference at the same time. So I'm going to enter an equals sign. This tells Sheets that we're going to ask it to calculate something, and then we'll enter our function, which is Countif, open parentheses. If you're not seeing the help box, click the question mark so you can see the help box. And I can see that what this formula needs from me is a range to evaluate, and it also needs me to tell it what the criterion is that it's going to be working with. The range that it's going to be evaluating is all of the data in column E, not including the header. So I'm going to click the top reference, hold down Shift, and click the bottom reference, E2 through E85. When I enter a comma, I'm reminded that the next thing I need to do is tell it what the criterion is that I'm going to be counting. And our criterion is 4-critical, unquote. Close the parentheses. And when I hit return, I can see that I have 7 students who are marked as 4-critical. Again, it asks us whether or not we want to copy that formula down. In this case, I do not. Let's do that same process again for the at-risk students. Equals Countif, open the parentheses. I'm going to select the top of the reference, hold down Shift, select the bottom of the reference, comma, and this time our criterion is 3-at-risk. That criterion has to match exactly. When I hit return, I find out that I have 20 students who are marked as 3-at-risk. This is not in our cheat sheet down here, and it's not required, but you could, from the previous video, if you wanted to know how many students were in either of those categories, we could use the sum function. We could sum up both of those numbers. So that's the way you can count items or students or any other thing that meets any criteria or criterion that you specify.